The night the power went out in Willow Creek, something shifted in Daniel's home. It wasn't just the eerie silence that came after the humming of the refrigerator stopped, and then the door opened, or the sudden realization that the back porch light, his comfort during dark hours, wouldn't flicker on. It was the deep, primal bark that echoed from the shadows of his backyard. That bark didn't come from fear. It was the sound of certainty, protection, authority. It came from Titan, Daniel's cane Corso. Daniel had gotten Titan 3 years earlier after an unsettling break-in across the street. He remembered how the police described the incident: quiet, fast, without warning. It had left the neighbors shaken, and Daniel, whose wife worked late and whose daughters often stayed home after school, found himself unable to sleep at night. He tried cameras. He tried extra locks. But fear has a way of sliding through the cracks of even the safest houses. That's when he met Titan at a rescue center. Just a year old, but built like a tank with intelligent, watchful eyes that followed Daniel's every move. A week later, Titan was curled up on the living room rug. A month later, he was more than a pet. He was family. And more importantly, he was a wall between danger and the people Daniel loved. On the night the lights failed, Titan didn't panic. He went to his usual post near the back window, nose twitching, muscles tensed. When the bark came, Daniel looked outside and saw nothing. But Titan saw everything. 2 figures, low and cloaked in the dark, had crept around the fence. Titan let out a low growl that seemed to shake the glass. And they ran. Daniel never found out who they were, but he never forgot what Titan did that night. Not long after, Daniel told his story at a local town meeting. And that's where he met Gloria, an Army veteran who now trained service dogs. She listened patiently and then said, "You made a solid choice. Cane Corsos have been guarding Italian farms for centuries. They're intuitive, fearless, and loyal to a fault. But if you ever want a team, let me tell you about 2 other breeds." That conversation stayed with Daniel for months, until his brother Mike, who lived on the other side of town, called him in a panic one night. Mike's garage had been broken into while his kids were asleep. They didn't hear a thing. No alarms. No cameras triggered. Nothing. Mike didn't wait long. The next weekend, he drove to a breeder that Gloria had recommended and met Sasha. Sasha was a Doberman Pinscher. Daniel came by a few days later. What he saw surprised him. Sasha wasn't the snarling, high-strung dog he'd imagined. She was poised, sleek, like a living sculpture, always alert but never reckless. Mike explained that within just a week, Sasha knew every corner of the house and had learned the family's routine better than any human could. She doesn't just guard, Mike said. She predicts. It wasn't long before Sasha proved herself. During a late summer night, Mike heard her pacing, not barking, just pacing quietly, with her ears high. Something was off. He checked the front door, then the backyard. Nothing. Then Sasha moved toward the basement. A leak. The water heater had burst silently, threatening to flood half the house while everyone slept. Sasha couldn't fix it. But she sensed something wasn't right. "She's saved us twice now," Mike told Daniel months later. "And the crazy part, she's gentle with the kids. Even my youngest, who used to scream around dogs, sleeps with her in his room now." Still, the story of Gloria didn't end with Sasha. Because one day, she introduced Daniel and Mike to her own companion. He didn't brawl, he simply watched. An unassuming ball of fluff at first glance, until you looked closer, until you saw the thickness of his coat, the calm intensity in his eyes, the way he placed himself between Gloria and any stranger like it was second nature. His name was Kuma, and Akita. "Most people don't expect it," Gloria said, patting his massive head. "They think guard dogs need to look mean. But Kuma, he doesn't need to look anything. He just is." She told him how, during her recovery after an injury, Kuma had stood guard for 12 hours straight when a stranger kept circling her property. She didn't even realize it until she saw the tracks in the snow. Kuma never left the porch, never barked. But the stranger didn't come back. "Akitas are different," she explained. "They're silent sentinels. Deeply attached to their families, indifferent to outsiders. They don't bluff. They don't chase shadows. But if something, or someone, crosses a line, they react with startling speed." Months passed, and each of their lives quietly transformed. Titan continued his patrols. Sasha guarded not just the house, but the hearts inside it. Kuma remained Gloria's shadow. Then, something happened that none of them could have predicted. A wildfire crept into the edge of town. Fast, fueled by wind and drought, it pushed through the nearby woods with terrifying speed. Evacuations were called. Chows followed. Sirens. Smog. People grabbing what they could. Daniel had just managed to grab his family and run. Titan didn't bark, he led. Guided the children to the car. Waited until everyone was inside. Then jumped in. Mike, disoriented by smoke and flashing lights, couldn't find his daughter in the confusion. Sasha found her. In the bathroom, frozen and coughing, unable to yell. Sasha led her out, nuzzling her the whole way. Gloria, trapped near the back roads, saw flames licking the sky. Kuma didn't panic. He guided her through a side trail she didn't even know existed. And when they emerged on the other side, fire engines surrounded them. But they were safe. In the weeks that followed, each of them told their stories to reporters, to friends, to neighbors, and suddenly everyone was talking about it. Not just dogs, but 3 guardians, 3 breeds, 3 stories of loyalty that crossed the line between instinct and love. And Sasha Kuma, the protector, the strategist, the silent strength. The story spread online like wildfire. Ironic, given the circumstances. People shared their own experiences. Photos poured in. Families posing with their canecorsos, their Dobermans, their Akitas. The tag of 3 guardians trended for weeks. Artists began sketching the trio. A short film followed. Even schools used the story to teach about courage, loyalty, and love. And in a small town still healing from fire, 3 families slept soundly. Because some protectors don't wear uniforms. Some don't carry weapons. Some have fur and hearts that beat for only one thing: your safety.